as the ActionSA National Spokesperson. It is a privilege that I hold very dear in my life. And so, welcome to a party, a political movement that keeps on giving. ActionSA has been a political force that, they say, despise not the days of small beginnings. And so as an organization, we're very grateful and very humbled by the reception that we have received since our formation in 2020. And so I'm going to request that we accept that some of the speakers, and which is actually should happen, that we will be multilingual in this setting. We will speak as we feel we need to speak in whatever language comes to us. So please accept that as standard. And for those who are broadcasting primarily in English, let's hope that we can teach the people of South Africa to translate to one another. And that's what's going to happen in this particular press conference. And so before I call the first person to speak, perhaps I must introduce the people that you will see coming through. I will start on my right-hand side. On the far right, there are some people now in our party that need no introduction anymore. We used to have to introduce all the time, and this is a very great sign of progress. I will have you know that as you can see, the way that we are seated, that gender parity is not an issue in our party. It's happening, and it's developing quite nicely. So to the far right, I don't even know if I should start with you. It's a problem, but maybe because we'll start on a high note. Dereleen James, Honorable Dereleen James, is a member of Parliament, also a member of our Senate, a growing force, I think. Barring Ditani Fandi ad hoc. The auntie, the angry one, Okwatileng. Please welcome Honorable Dereleen James. Next to Dereleen is another one who no longer needs any introduction. I think when they speak about diamonds in the rough, South Africans a couple of months ago, it feels like she's been a pillar where she is forever. And you can say that she perhaps has in a different iteration. But now she's a force to be reckoned with. I think you have watched, if you've read reports on best performing mayors in our country, she has topped that list. Please welcome Dr. Nasiphi Moya. She is a senator. She's told me specifically today that she's here as a senator, but I'm sorry, you belong to a political party. You don't get to decide for yourself what occupation you have. You are the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane. And next to Dr. Nasiphi Moya, we've got doctorates in this party. We have, are you the only leader of a political party with a doctorate? Or the first one? The first one is Dr. Mbahari Kekana, who has ascended to the responsibility of being our deputy president as an organization, a very strong indication that we are a growing organization. When we were formed, we didn't need a deputy president. But iseke lo mongameli. Hey, my Zulu is my Zutu is Zutuing. So please welcome Dr. Mbahari Kekana. And then I'll go to my far right, my far left. Hey, yeah, my women's things are showing. We have Honorable Athol Trollip, Umhlegazi, is my partner in crime in Parliament. He's the caucus leader in Parliament, former mayor of Nelson Mandela Bay. Please welcome Author Athol Trollip. Yeah, he's one of those white people you can't in the lift, you know. We remember we used to do that, but he speaks Xhosa, and Sutu he gets it here and there. Even Zulu he struggles, but he gets it. Next to him is a formidable force also in our party's ability to function. organizationally and making sure that everything we do is seamless and that we're an organized party, is our national chairperson, Mr. Michael Beaumont. He's very traumatized because now he also, when we chant, people are able to say, "Long live Michael Beaumont, long live." And he's like, "Oh my God, what is that?" And then, of course, next to me here, also needs absolutely no introduction, but the very reason why we are all here, why we have all come together, and why we have all bought into this big, big job of fixing our country and making sure that we redefine what politics has meant for the last 30 years, and that we remind South Africans that when we came together in 1994, it was for us to build a strong, sustainable, just society, both economically and socially. And this is a person who was and is going to be, once again, the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, is also our founding president. Please welcome Ntate Herman Mashaba. And so I know that I'm out of time in terms of my introductions, but some things can't be helped. We are now in Parliament. ActionSA is 5 years old. We are in all three spheres of government. We believe that's a great feat. And so to speak to our agenda in Parliament, I'm going to allow Honorable Ethel Trollip, who's the caucus leader in Parliament, to just come and speak to our parliamentary program, as well as our views on the transitional government we currently have in the form of the GNU. Please welcome Ethel Trollip.
Ndiyabulela mhlale ngaphambili. Nami ndifuna uthatha lithuba ndibulise abantwana begazi. Siyanikhahlela kakhulu ndikwenzela umzekelo. On Monday in East London, it's now called Kukompo, there's going to be a march because some Nigerians in East London took it upon themselves to coronate a king and to say that they're going to claim the Eastern Cape as the homeland of the Igbo people of Nigeria. Londo yasimangalisa. So my colleague Lerato Ngobeni and I will be there on Monday to say, sinazo inkosi zethu apha kulo mhlaba wethu. Asifune ezinye inkosi zamanye amazwe ukuzozenzela inkosi apha phakathi kwethu. We had a presentation at the start of this three-day Senate meeting from very smart people, and they spoke to us about the government that we have in our country at the moment. It's a transitional government. It's called the GNU, but it's a transitional government. And what has actually happened there is that the people of this country reduced the ANC's majority below 50%, and the GNU partners actually increased their majority in Parliament to 70%. So the very parties that were opposing a failing government turned around and gave the mandate back to the failing government in Parliament and strengthened their mandate up to 70%. So we worry about that because the very parties that used to complain a lot about the failed ANC government are now propping it up. Things that they used to complain about was the size of cabinet, but the size of cabinet's bigger than ever. They used to complain about cabinet excesses, cabinet salaries. Now we hear that some of them get their cabinet salaries, but they need top-ups ngaphezulu. Abanye abantu bethu baphangela nophangela. Travel. One of the ministers spent 2 million rand on car hire in 3 months. 2 million rand on car hire. But they've got their own motor cars, ngaphezulu. These are the things that really bother us as ActionSA. And then what worries us most is ministerial performance. You know, the government is so big now with 70%, bayakuselan, but they don't govern for the sake of the people of this country. You'll hear this minister from this party is Ngombesfubeni and saying how well they're doing for their own TikTok and social media, but not for the benefit of the people of this country. So we are demanding more accountability. Our senators given us a mandate to demand more accountability. The concern is that there is diminishing accountability in Parliament. MP and ministers do not answer questions. Written questions, it takes them forever to answer. Oral questions, they just talk their own stuff, they don't speak to the questions. We've seen a government that's become more self-serving than serving of the people in South Africa. I want to give you an example about how bad this has got in Parliament, in the 7th Parliament. For many years, opposition parties have wanted to have a portfolio committee on the presidency, because the presidency has no oversight. Now, that's a concern, because in provincial legislatures, there's an office of the Premier. You must scrutinize every single cent. But for 30 years, the President has not been oversighted. We've now established a committee of the presidency, and it was our vote cast by Lerato Ngobeni in that committee to finally give it a stamp of endorsement. And you know, we had to select a chairperson. The ANC had 4 members plus the PEA gave them 5. The DA had 2 members. They were never going to get the chair, but they insisted on nominating one of their own. And we in the opposition had 4 seats. If the DA had really wanted an opposition member to oversight the president, to bring some independence, they would have aligned with us, but they didn't. They insisted on voting for themselves to get 2. The ANC got 5. We as the opposition got 4. So now we've got an ANC chair of the portfolio committee. Now, if you look at their performance in that regard, bayakhuselana isikakhulu umongameli babo. They've always protected their presidents. From Nkandla to Phalaphala, you name it, they protect each other. Zondo Commission gave instructions about what to do. Dololo. Madlanga Commission is going to come up with recommendations. They won't do anything about them. You know why? Because they are protective of their presidents. The other interesting thing is we've got some parties in the GNU that think they're still opposition. The DA takes the ANC to court. Very clever. But when other people take the DA to court about their performance in government, they take exception. Recently, there's this court case about foot and mouth disease. They were steadfast. It was going to be run by government. Government was going to deal with it. But because they can't get vaccines and they can't roll them out. But when they get taken to court, they get the clip about it. So what we've done is our Senate has mandated our caucus to be more focused on reform failures of the GNU and its failures to deliver change on national key performance indexes. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to hold that whole GNU government's feet to the fire. We may be small in number, but we occupy a pivotal space in Parliament. We are right in the middle between a massive, omnipotent GNU and an ineffective progressive caucus led by MKP that is unstable and incoherent in Parliament. So if you ever wonder about being small and insignificant, my colleague Lerato Ngobeni says you haven't spent a night with a mosquito in a dark room. We will keep them awake like a mosquito in a dark room. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's very true. I think just before I bring up the next speaker, in terms of people who are getting top-up payments, what Honorable Trolip forgot to mention is that they're actually 100% male and 99% white. It's a very big problem, and also not to disclose also represents a double standard. The next speaker, I'm going to just tell you who's coming because I'm not going to come every time in the interest of time. We've got big announcements to make today and declarations to make. So the next person who's going to follow here is going to be the Dr. Is it honorable in council? Her Worship. Hey, she says it's her Worship, Dr. Nasipi Moya. She told us only today, she resigned today, that she's no longer our chief overseer of governance, but she still has that job to do in this moment, and she's going to speak to the state of local government. Following Dr. Moya will be the national chairperson, Mr. Michael Beaumont, who will speak to the resolutions and the outcomes of our 3-day Senate meeting that we've just had that's concluded just over an hour ago. And then the national chair will be followed by the deputy president, Dr. Mbahari Kekana, who's going to speak to our expansion plan, which we have termed the big green umbrella. I'm hoping, Doc, that at some point we will have an actual motif of a big green umbrella that's going to be behind us every time we speak about it. And then Dr. Kekana will be followed by President Herman Mashaba, who will give us his remarks, and he's going to make a very big announcement, and two big announcements. And then after that, we will take questions, followed by the last speaker, who will be the Honorable Dereleen James, the lady we want to end on a high note, and she's going to be able to close that up for us quite beautifully. Let's welcome Dr. Nasipi Moya.
Thank you so much, National Spokesperson, Dibulise Kuwe, President, National Chair, Deputy President, and fellow senators. Sibulisa Makhosi, Bayete, Sinamkele Kule press conference, and all our esteemed guests and the members of the media, and most importantly, fellow South Africans. It's befitting, ladies and gentlemen, that I come before the National Chairperson, because I just want to give a context in which some of the resolutions that the National Chairperson will communicate, in particular when it comes to the local government, the state of our local government. We met as Senate and we did deliberate and dedicated a lot of time on what is it that we are dealing with as we are going to the elections towards the end of the year. What is it that we are dealing with, and what is it that ActionSA is proposing to do differently for the people of South Africa? So it is against this backdrop of the mounting service delivery failures and collapsing municipal performance that the Senate saw it very important that we reflect on the state of local government. The Senate noted with serious concern that for many residents, local government dysfunction is no longer abstract, but a daily lived reality that is characterized by an unreliable water supply. So many communities go without water, which is a basic human right that is enshrined in the Constitution. We've seen an increased disruption in electricity, infrastructure backlog, and the declining public spaces. We have considered the latest national data that has been availed by AG and reaffirmed the Senate that local government is facing deep systematic challenges. One of them is the fact that municipal consumer debt has exceeded 350 billion rands, reflecting a severe failure in revenue collection and undermining municipalities' ability to fund services sustainable. Secondly, municipal debt owed to ESCOM now exceeds 90 billion rand, posing a direct risk to electricity supply stability and contributing to load reduction measures. Approximately 45% of municipalities have adopted an unfunded budget, indicating that nearly half of municipalities are spending beyond their means. Only around 16% of municipalities achieved clean audits, with the majority continuing to exhibit material financial misstatements, compliance failures, and weak internal controls. Over 7 billion rand in infrastructure grants were unspent in the 2023-2024 financial year, despite persistent service delivery backlogs, highlighting failures in planning, procurement, and execution. That is the state in which the Senate then concluded that these trends point not to isolated weaknesses, but to a system that is not functioning as it should be. We have therefore emphasized that the crisis in local government is not primarily due to a lack of policy or funding mechanisms. South Africa has established legislative frameworks, funding mechanisms, and institutional structures. However, the consistent failures lie in weak financial management, dare I say corruption, poor infrastructure maintenance, and inconsistent service delivery. We therefore agreed that the fundamental issue is a breakdown in execution. We have further noted a direct correlation between governance quality and municipal performance. When there is weak leadership, inadequate oversight, and limited accountability, there is a corresponding increase in financial mismanagement, infrastructure collapse, and service delivery failure. Therefore, the Senate recognized that improvement is possible when leadership is stable, budgets are credible and funded, and accountability mechanisms are enforced. We therefore resolved that agent focus must be placed on restoring the core functions of local government, which includes strengthening revenue collection systems, enforcing financial discipline and funded budgeting, improving audit outcomes and internal controls. We must accelerate infrastructure delivery and maintenance and ensure that there's consequence management where there's non-performance. As the City of Tshwane, we recently approved a budget that we are taking to communities where we are saying we are done feeding the beast, which is the tenderpreneurs, at the expense of our people. We have slashed the budget that used to go to tenderpreneurs in the form of contracted services. And now we are buying our own equipment, we are hiring our own officials, and where communities have said we don't want water tankers, we have negotiated with them and said we're not gonna give you these ones from tenderpreneurs, we'll buy our own water tankers and give them to you. Now, these are some of the bold reforms that we expect that all local government, all municipalities in our country, those are the decisions that they need to make. We need to also realize that for us to build this country for the benefit of all its citizens, as promised in the Constitution, we need to build more infrastructure, that there must be less money that is going to operational expenditure and expand on the funding that is going to infrastructure development. Therefore, as Senate, we reaffirmed that the primary mandate of local government must remain service delivery. It must not be about politicking and positions for politicians and to enrich themselves and their families. That the residents are not demanding perfection. I have personally experienced this in the City of Tshwane. Residents have never asked for perfection, but they've asked for leadership that cares, and they've asked for reliability. What does reliability means? What they're asking for is the water that flows in their taps. They are asking for electricity that is stable. They are asking for roads to be maintained. And they are asking for basic services to be rendered. The grass must be cut. The street lights must be fixed. And therefore, we have resolved as the Senate that we need to restore public confidence. And that can only be achieved if there's visible, measurable improvements in basic services. Therefore, in conclusion, the Senate has resolved that while the crisis in local government is real and significant, it is not irreversible. We have seen it in the case of the City of Johannesburg, we've seen it in the case of Nelson Mandela Bay, we have seen it in the City of Tshwane, where we have inherited a collapse that happened over 8 years, but in a space of 12 months, we were able to turn around the municipality. A municipality that did not have a funded budget for 4 years. In a space of 4 months, we made a decision to have a funded budget. So what we are saying is not something that's in theory, ladies and gentlemen. At least 3 of the leaders that are sitting on this table have turned around municipalities, and what we are proposing as the leadership of this party, there are more Nasipis out there are more Ethels out there are more Herman Mashabas out there, and we need them to come and work for the people of Tshwane and these municipalities as we prepare for the elections. South Africa, as a reminder, does not lack capacity or resources. We've got tons of talent in this country. What is required is decisive leadership, functioning systems, and sustained commitment to our people. If 46% of the functions or services that are coded in the Constitution of this Republic is assigned to local government, when local government fails, that means we fail 46% of the Constitution, and we can't allow that to happen. In conclusion, the Senate reaffirmed its commitment to holding all spheres of government accountable to the standard of fixing what is broken and restoring effective, service-oriented local governance. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, traditional leaders and members of royal households present, members of the media, thank you for being with us today to help us share our message. Leaders of ActionSA, members of ActionSA, and South Africans following these proceedings from home, I greet you all, and we are excited to share with you the outcomes of 4 days of ActionSA leaders sitting around the table discussing how we're going to be the credible alternative that South Africans require us to be. And I think it's very appropriate that these remarks follow hot in the heels of those made by the executive mayor in the city of Tshwane, because she has characterized the state of local government correctly. Local government is in a state of crisis, and it needs leadership now more than ever before. It is in that spirit that ActionSA Senate convened to talk about what South Africans need us to be. And particularly now it was revealed that the South African people are depressed about the state of local government in the way that the executive mayor has described. But more than that, that they are looking for an alternative. They are tired of politics. They don't want games and gimmicks anymore. They want change. They want service delivery. And unless political parties are going to speak to that, they don't want to hear it. And this is ActionSA's direction going forward, that the time for games and gimmicks will be dispensed with, and the time for service delivery and positive change in the lives of South Africans is what is going to receive our focus going forward. I'm also here to share with you a very important election message that ActionSA has resolved is going to be at the core of our election offering, and that is ActionSA will fix what other parties broke. We need to let the message get out there that there are political parties that have broken municipalities across our country. They have collapsed service delivery. They have destroyed the institutions of government. And ultimately, what ActionSA puts forward that differentiates us from everybody else is that we have leaders that fix broken municipalities. People like Herman Mashaba, Athol Trollip, and most recently Dr. Nasipi Moya have demonstrated this is the kind of leadership that we can put in place in your municipality to fix what others have broken, and that is the core of what we are going to be offering the South African people in these upcoming elections. It is appropriate for me to say now that as a core behind that message is going to be the track record ActionSA leaders have in fixing broken municipalities. People like Herman Mashaba, we will tell the story of how corruption was fought in the city of Johannesburg and how 6,000 cases of corruption was investigated with more than 35 billion rands worth of transactions. How an inner city rejuvenation project was taking control of hijacked buildings to provide places for people to live closer to work opportunities. To tell the story of how the housing situation in Johannesburg was being addressed aggressively, not through the pedestrian rollout of RDP homes that couldn't touch sides against the housing backlog, but through programs like the inner city and site and service projects that gives people fully service stands for them to build their own homes better and quicker than government will ever do for them. These records is what we will be able to put on the ground to say this is an ActionSA brand of government. Athol Trollip's record in Nelson Mandela Bay speaks for itself too. He introduced the first Metro Police in that municipality. He delivered tapped water to places that had only ever known informal water for many years. He delivered more houses than had been delivered before, and he blocked corrupt deals, and he didn't back down when corruption was setting in his coalition. He stood against it, even if it meant his departure. And that's the kind of principles ActionSA puts on the table. And then Dr. Nasipi Moya, let me be the ones to sing her praise. But we now have a shining light in the darkness of local government, a light on the hill that every South African inside Tshwane and beyond can look towards to say, that is the kind of leadership I want. And where more appropriate to begin than the events of last week. Last week, Thursday, it was revealed that an ActionSA MMC had operated outside of an ethical standard of leadership we set and outside of the law. Within the same day that MMC had been suspended, and yesterday that MMC was dismissed. And you know, in many political parties, that MMC would have been an ambassador by that point in time. But in ActionSA, we say if you do wrong, we'll hold you to a higher standard than any other party because you're betraying the people who put us into office. And we're very proud of that record. But on top of that, the work of turning around the capital city continues. They talked about 90 billion rand owing to Eskom. Nearly 10% of that was owing to Eskom from the city of Tshwane alone, when Dr. Nasipi Moya came in, and already 2 billion rands worth of that debt has been settled. The city was insolvent. It couldn't afford to pay its contracted expenses. And yet Dr. Nasipi Moya has stabilized that situation with her multi-party coalition government to the point where Tshwane's credit ratings are starting to improve. A 2 billion rand liability to municipal workers developed by previous governments who said that the workers were criminals and treated them with with total contempt, was resolved for the benefit of labour stability and service delivery in the city. And the list of successes in the city of Tshwane is growing. But I assure the residents of Tshwane and beyond, ActionSA is not an arrogant political party. We don't look at these successes and say we've arrived. We say we're just beginning. And ultimately, that's the kind of brand of leadership we offer the South African people. As part of our Senate resolutions, we looked at strategy horizons. You don't just focus on one election, you focus on multiple election cycles. In 2026, it is our plan to lead coalition governments in the city of Johannesburg and the Northwest, and to ensure that we can then back that up by developing a footprint in all 9 provinces, so that by the time we get to the 2029 national and provincial elections, ActionSA must be a force to be reckoned with in all 9 provinces. Importantly, we want to be the biggest party in Gauteng in 2029 and the official opposition in the Northwest Province, where ActionSA is taking off in rapid numbers. And we also expect that we will be in the top 5 political parties in 2029, ready to enter national government, because as we say, this GNU is a transitional government and it's a mistake government. And ultimately, we need ActionSA in coalition for it to succeed, and the evidence of that abounds in places like Tshwane and beyond. It's also important to say that we have now produced a short list of municipalities that ActionSA will be contesting. We are now talking about more than 60 municipalities in the country, and while we won't divulge their individual names just yet, for not wanting to give our competitors too much of a fright too soon, certainly what we can say is this: they are in every one of the 9 provinces. They are not just cities and urban centres, they're also rural communities. There are municipalities that are broken to various extents and are in desperate need of the kind of leadership that ActionSA leaders have a track record of providing. And importantly, there are municipalities that are going to be in coalition after these elections, and we will position ourselves as a party that no coalition will be formed without ActionSA, and that is the key behind the work that we are doing in identifying these places. Importantly, we have begun the work of developing our local government manifesto, and the major focus of which is the crisis of basic services. As Dr. Moya has referred, the issue is electricity, water and roads, and the basics that are no longer taken for granted by South Africans, that have become luxuries in broken municipalities. And we're going to focus on how municipalities in crisis can redirect funding towards those service delivery priorities so that the basic services become stable once again. It is about providing innovative solutions to housing. We can no longer have governments rolling out 1,000 RDP homes a year against a backlog of 300,000 or 400,000 that's growing by more than we're addressing it. We need projects like the inner city rejuvenation that Herman Mashaba led in Johannesburg, and site and service stands where we hand over tens of thousands of fully serviced, demarcated stands in communities for people to build their own homes. And over the years, we upgrade those into communities with the streets and the pavements and the street lights and the schools and the clinics that make them the kind of communities that people want to live in. And I think importantly, we need to talk about governance solutions. Particularly of late, the tender system in South Africa has become a crisis. It has professionalized corruption. Tenderpreneurship has become something that children can aspire to become when they are young, because it has become so lucrative. And it has just become so entrenched in local government in particular that we need to relook at our tender system to ensure that it is more transparent, more accountable, and that we get people out of the system who should never be there in the first instance. We know we enter an environment of coalition, and there's a few things we need to say about that. Firstly, what the city of Tshwane has revealed, as with other places like Herman Mashaba's record in Joburg and Athol Trollops and Nelson Mandela Bay, is that coalition work when ActionSA leads them. And that's the message we need to share to the South African people. Ultimately, we will now begin a program of gauging different political parties through meetings and bilaterals that we will be staging in the weeks ahead, where we will be sharing what our position on coalitions is. And for the clarity now, let me remind you that in the wake of the elections last year, we have resolved that ActionSA will be open to working with any political party in South Africa who can put down stable leadership that produces the kind of service delivery and stability that our residents are looking for. And it will be dealt with on an area by area basis. We won't make sweeping positions about all parties ever again. If these leadership configurations here represent the best form of governance, we'll go for that. And if it's different over here, we'll go for that too, because we must do what serves the residents best. But what we will be saying to these parties is that before we can work with any of them in coalition, there are 3 basic sets of conditions. The first of which is there has to be service delivery for all, and not service delivery for some. Many political parties can't do service delivery at all. Some of them can only do it for certain people and not others. ActionSA stands unique in the sense that it has to be service delivery for all, or we will not work in that coalition. The second is that corruption must be declared public enemy number 1. The standard we set in Tshwane is a standard of example, not of hypothetical example. So we are going to be very clear that that is the standard that we require in the fight against corruption for us to be involved in coalition. And the third condition is there must be intervention in the field of illegal immigration. Illegal immigration has become a crisis in our country. Our open borders have produced a state of lawlessness that is collapsing local government, that is already underfunded and unable to deal with the pressing needs of the South African citizens. And we have a constitution that has allowed an abuse of the idea that South Africans belong to all who live in it. South Africa must belong to South African citizens, first and foremost, who must enjoy the services of the government that they pay for and that they support into office. Importantly, ActionSA will also be using its mayoral campaigns to collect information about what the service delivery priorities of every municipality are, so that when we negotiate coalitions, we will also be negotiating on the level that these are the capital projects that must be delivered in the city for us to be involved in a coalition government arrangement. That way, our mayoral campaigns are not based on election gimmicks or kicking feet in potholes and that kind of thing. It's going to be based on very real concepts of what kind of change our mayoral campaigns can be connected to delivering after governments are formed. It's also important to say that ActionSA has considered a political environment where all major parties are in decline. The ANC, the EFF and MK are all in a state of decline. The Democratic Alliance is also in a state of decline. And ultimately, South Africans are going into the I don't vote column, and the numbers are getting lower and lower and lower. We need to dispel the notion that people can simply stop voting and anything will change. We need people to come out and vote, and we need to be that credible alternative by sharing with South Africans the idea that if they always vote the way they've always voted, they're always going to suffer the way they have always suffered. We need to do something fundamentally different. Our campaign is going to focus on young people. Young people have the most to lose by a political system that has left them behind, and yet they are the least involved in politics. And who can blame them when you look at the old age home of the South African Parliament and beyond? We need to offer a credible alternative to young people, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this campaign. Our candidate selection program is going to ensure that communities choose our candidates. We're no longer going to have a situation where candidates are chosen in smoke-filled rooms by leaders who are disconnected with the ground. We are going to the ground. They will be choosing our candidates. They'll be working with them to give the candidates that they need in their community, because ultimately that will get the best support at the end of the day. And let me say to the representatives of the traditional leaders here today that we are also going to be working with our traditional leaders across the country. Traditional leaders have been relegated to observers in the local government environment by an ANC that has sidelined them, when they have so much leadership to provide in communities, while they see councillors letting communities down. ActionSA's policy offering is different to every other party in that we propose a partnership in local government where traditional leaders take their rightful place in ensuring that there's solid leadership in municipalities, and we look forward to taking that across South Africa and engaging with traditional leaders there. From our side, there is so much more to be said. We are going to leave it there, but ultimately what I can assure you arising from the strategic work of our Senate over the next few days is that ActionSA is poised and ready to be the political party that South Africans need us to be. Thank you.
Well done, Mike.
Let me start by greeting the national leadership of ActionSA, the members of the media, Abundabezita, Bayete, and everyone here, and especially our voters out there. ActionSA on the 15th of January 2025 constructed a project called Green Umbrella, whereby we saw Forum for Service Delivery coming together with ActionSA, and therefore went to call upon other parties to work together. As we speak, we have recruited a lot of small parties to come to ActionSA, SICAF, DUP, and others. When this project started, ActionSA, this is a good story. When this project started, ActionSA had 98 councillors. As we speak, ActionSA is sitting with 151 councillors because of this project. About some weeks ago, IEC has told us that we've got 582 councillors. Imagine having those kind of parties on the ballot paper. Meaning we're going to have a 4-page ballot paper. So we are saying to all parties out there, time to work in your corners or individually, it's over. Let's come together under this green umbrella project so that we can be credible, we can offer our voters something which they will cherish, we can offer our voters a party like ActionSA which will work for them. So we are calling upon all the parties to come forward, not only political parties. We are calling further the independent candidates to come forward. We are calling also credible community leaders to come forward. We are calling traditional leaders also to come forward so that we can work together. We can have all the plans, but divided we are weak, united we are strong. We have what we just noticed that there's a change in terms of legislation, a 1% threshold. We have noted that. However, as ActionSA, we see it as an opportunity for political parties to work together. We don't have to wait for a law somewhere to force us to work together. We are South Africans. We want what is better for our country. So we have noticed that IEC in the past 2 months has registered 24 political parties, just in 2 months. So let's come together. There is an umbrella established under ActionSA so that we can destroy this interim government called GNU. ActionSA want to be a political party which there's no parties will run without ActionSA. But we can only do that if we work together. So we are appealing to everyone out there. Another last point will be the point of voter registration. We have noticed that young people are not registered, so we are calling upon young people to come and register. We have noticed that we've got 23 million voters, eligible voters, but are not voting. But when it comes to protest, they are the first to be at the forefront of those protests and burn and destroy our building. One vote is too many. I can give you an example. ActionSA has won a award in Ramotsere Muilwa with only 2 votes. We have managed to change government with only 2 votes. So your vote, never underestimate your vote. So we are calling to those eligible voters to come and vote. And we are appealing that those who have registered in the wrong places, they must go to the nearest IEC to check themselves. So as ActionSA, we are appealing to the country, especially our citizens. Our members on the ground, our volunteers, they will be going door to door to assist you to register to vote. So we as ActionSA will run what we call voter outreach campaign, whereby we'll teaching people the importance of voting, we'll teach people how to register to vote. So when you see one member of ActionSA doing door to door, please welcome them because they want to help liberate you. This is the party which is very serious about service delivery. We believe in service delivery. We want to see what is happening in Tshwane, what Ntate Mashaba did, what Ntate Atrol did, being multiplied. We don't want to be a party of Gauteng. We want to have, for the first time, come next elections, we want to have mayors of ActionSA spread all over the country. That's what we want to have. But we can only do that if we come together as political parties, come together as individuals loving this country. Because we have got GNU, which is very, very directionless. But it requires your vote, not you to burn a tree or burn a tire. Your vote. So as and when the date will be nearing for us to vote, we are saying let's think about voting ActionSA. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll use the paper, old school, from Haramutsi. Thank you very much, my colleagues who have spent the last 4 days or so with. Let me also begin by thanking each and every senator for your incredible contribution over the past 3 days. This, fellow South Africans, has been a very important moment for ActionSA, where leaders from across our country have come together to define how we take our fight against the collapse of local government and failing service delivery directly to the people of South Africa. Over the past 3 days, we have asked ourselves a very simple question. How do we deliver a focused, assertive campaign that speaks directly to the hearts of South Africans who are tired of broken municipalities, tired of failing services, and tired of being forgotten? And I'm also proud today because we have answered this question. We have grounded ourselves in something more important than political tactics. We have grounded ourselves in the lived reality of our fellow South Africans. People who wake up every day to collapsing infrastructure, rising costs, unsaved communities, and a political system that seems to care more about power than our own people. For far too long, political parties in this country have put themselves first. Their power, their positions, their internal battles have taken priority over the needs of our people. And it is that has happened, the interests of ordinary South Africans have been pushed further and further down the line. But ActionSA, since our founding, has made a conscious decision to break from that. We are here because we believe in something simple but powerful. The South Africans must come first. Not politicians, not political parties, not positions. South Africans first. And that is the foundation of everything we do, and we stand by which we measure every decision and every campaign we are going to run. This Senate breakaway gave us the opportunity to reflect on the disunity of what was termed Government of National Unity when it was formed after the 2024 elections. We saw it for what it was. Hence our deliberate refusal to be part of it. This government is totally unable to change anything. We did not want to be complicit in destroying the entire opposition in our new democratic space. Our parliamentary caucus leader, Honorable Athol Trollip, demonstrated how these parties in the GNU have compromised their independence. The ANC is now in a safe space. Their former opposition and critics are now their defenders. Our own observations and deliberations during these past 3 days have given us comfort that this GNU is a transitional arrangement ahead of 2029. And you can understand why we say it's a transitional government. I just want to share something with you as fellow South Africans. What happened prior to 1994, for some of us who are old enough, where we grew up never thinking that we'll ever see a transition from apartheid to a new democracy. Fortunately enough, it happened. 10 years into a democratic dispensation, we started seeing the failure of the ANC government. And our fear, like what has happened in most, if not all, African countries, we thought we are going to see chaos in bringing change in our country. Fortunate enough, this GNU, which actually betrayed the people of South Africa that they are filming GNU for them, but they've demonstrated without any doubt that they are there for themselves. So I want to thank all of you, our senators, for ensuring that as we approach these local government elections, our strategy is not built on chasing power for the sake of power, but on fighting for and putting South African first in every community, in every municipality, and in every decision we take. And so, to set the tone for the bold, unconventional, and driven campaign we intend to run, I want to introduce someone who will play a key role in taking ActionSA's fight to put South Africans first, deeper into our communities. She's a woman of the ground, an organizer we have no doubt understands the daily realities our people face in our most rural communities, and who has consistently stood up at the forefront of community struggles. Please allow me to welcome Ms. Mary Phadi. Before Mary speak, as I say, I'm proud to announce that ActionSA has welcomed Mary Phadi to join our Senate, where she will play a key role in leading and managing our campaign in Mpumalanga. ActionSA has no shortage of talented and capable women who know how to fight for what they believe in and for the communities that they serve. Mary, thank you so much for accepting to take over this huge responsibility. You've done it before. You're an unstoppable woman. You know, for us as Senate, most of our senators had an opportunity and privilege to meet her over the last 3.5 days. And her contribution to the Senate, which is our highest decision-making body, has been incredible, remarkable. So thank you so much for being part of this organization. So let me give her the floor to talk to you, fellow South Africans. Mary, the floor is yours. You can come and sit here.
Mary, chesa. Let me just thank the ActionSA for allowing me an opportunity to serve our community. You know, I was approached by the Deputy President, Dr. Kekane, in 2024. And in our engagements, you know, throughout Mpumalanga and other parts of the country, a meeting was scheduled that I must meet with the President of ActionSA, and the rest is history.
Yes.
Let me thank Abondabezi Tabayete, Abondlunkulu, ubuholi be ActionSA, ubuholi bekhuphuka asihlehli. Mpumalanga siyakhuphuka. Mpumalanga is ready. My focus has always been delivering to South Africans that needs functioning municipalities and the political leaders that can, you know, deliver service to our neighbors, if I may put it that way. This is why I can sit here before you that and tell you that you know, MK was an official opposition in Mpumalanga, and today it has collapsed. And since 2024 elections, I've been watching MK collapsing and how the internal factionalism, changes of leadership has affected the voters down there. And, you know, MK became the focus rather than saving our communities and growing that party. Ngizosho nje ukuthi simsebenzele uNcamalala
kodwa isintu sithi siyobohla amanyosi. And you know, since I've been pictured publicly with President Herman Mashaba, and all is not lost. Mpumalanga is going to make history again on the 26th of April, where ActionSA members of Mpumalanga will be wearing their regalia in numbers, or maybe let me say in thousands. Kupuga Mpumalanga, kupuga. Thank you very much, President.
Fellow South Africans, the next announcement I want to make is about another powerful and no-nonsense community activist, someone who cares deeply about our communities, especially in the Western Cape and the Cape Flats. She's someone you all know for standing up against the destruction of our communities by drug cartels and corrupt police, someone who has never backed down from the fight to restore safety and dignity where it has been lost. South Africans, I'm proud to announce that Dereleen James will now lead ActionSA in the Western Cape as our provincial chairperson, while still serving as a member of Parliament, because her move to Cape Town after the 2024 election allows her to ensure that people of the Western Cape are taken care of. So, Dereleen, thank you also so much for over and above your parliamentary obligations and duties, sitting in the ad hoc committee until early hours of the morning. South Africans watching you, saying, this did Dani or whatever they were calling it. So I'm really glad for the people of the Western Cape that ActionSA has chosen and made a decision, Senate, throughout the last 3.5 days in our engagement for her to accept taking over this responsibility so that the communities of the Western Cape can have someone to represent them. So thank you so much. The floor is yours.
Thank
Hey, but South Africans like drama, no? Yes, well, I like drama. Good afternoon, fellow South Africans, communities. I like to bring it home always. Communities, because that's what it brand. In particular today, my president, communities across the Western Cape. My heart is wit vandag. Yes, I am so excited. Finally, I get to smile after months of being angry. I'm so pleased. It has been announced, no, we will be contesting in the Western Cape. Ons kom to deal with issues affecting our families, such as drug abuse and gang violence. For too long, the residents of the Western Cape have been neglected, blatantly neglected and marginalized. The Western Cape records the highest rate of child abandonment. At this point, kids aren't even going to school anymore because they fear being gunned down on their way to school. That's a nuwe ding in die Western Cape, where every afternoon gangs meet on the streets and they stone each other. And parents and families cannot gain access to healthcare. They can't even go to the shop or go get a takeaway. That is the plight of the Western Cape. People have said, hoekom gaan die anties so aan omtrent die Cape Flats, Cape Flats, Cape Flats? Because Cape Flats, the Western Cape, records the highest rate of crime, which ultimately impacts the entire South Africa, which impacts our economy. So if we don't deal with the root of where the rot is happening, thus that they are transporting drugs and sending to our communities, if we don't go to the root where it's happening, all our communities, all our provinces are affected. So ek gaan daar waar dit brand. They said yesterday someone mentioned the difficulty of the task. Kykie, right now it seems almost impossible. The difficulty of the task should never be the reason not to do it. We do it anyway. ActionSA will do it anyway. Couple of weeks ago, we went to Beaufort West, 1 weekend. Mr. Ethel Trollop, 1 weekend, Operation Vat Alles. 7 wards, 7 branches launched, 2 days, done. That's us. Ons kom as ActionSA. Ons kom, they've undermined us for too long. We are contesting in your province, and I am the chairperson. Thank you, ActionSA. Come local to the communities there, and all the communities. Come local government election. I want to call on South Africans, let us finish strong. Let us finish with hope, and let us finish together. Thank you once again for ActionSA, for affording me this opportunity. I cannot do it alone. Ek roep nou allei mense, nie net aan the Western Cape, to raise your hand and say, I'm available. For the next 8 months, we're going to hit the ground running. I thank you.
Yeah, South Africans love drama, and you are bringing it, Dereleen. I'm so grateful. I think just as a parting shot from me is to say that it is so amazing to belong to an organization that lets people be who they are and bring themselves and bring their passions to it and add value to what we're doing in the discourse of literally fixing our country. And so I want to also remind the people of South Africa who may not have been there with us at our policy conference. And we said, we are not going to subscribe to the system of quotas in terms of gender and parity in our organization, but we're going to make sure that it is adhered to. You can see even at this table, the gender parity that is here. And so you will see in the coming weeks as we announce other leaders who are going to be coming through, and you will see that women are taken care of. I also said a statement at our policy conference, and I said to the President, if you don't do this thing that we are asking you to do, we are going to show you that women are not only powerful, we are also dangerous. And you can see the danger that is here and the danger that is going to come to all of those leaders or all of those people who purported to be leaders but have taken the citizens of South Africa for granted. The Deputy President spoke about the big green umbrella and announcements and mayoral announcements, and Dereleen has also said, please raise your hand. I just want to make, on behalf of the Polokwane Provincial Chairperson who's here with us, and Tate Victor Mutemela for Limpopo, that applications are open. We are looking for a suitable mayoral candidate in the city of Polokwane, one of the most important cities in our nation. And so the application forms close on the 30th of March, which is, it's on Monday. At the end of Monday, 11:55 p.m., applications will have closed. Please make sure that you send those through. All the details are available on our website. And then finally, for the city of Tshwane, Mayor Moya, there's a project in Tshwane called Tshwane ya Dima. What I love about Tshwane ya Dima, Mayor, is that you are even going after, whether it is large businesses, commercial businesses, whether it is SOEs and state government institutions that owe the city so much money. You know, you owe the city 3,000 rands, they switch you off. And some of these institutions owe the city hundreds of millions of rand because they have just not been paid and it's been neglected. And they must show leadership. So thank you for Tshwane ya Dima. We are very grateful for that project. We need more money so that those who are indigent and those who can't afford it can also receive the services. Thank you for that. With those few words, I do want to thank the panel who's been here, everybody who has been here. Thank you so much. We shall get there. Raleboha Kupuga. Kupuga, ActionSA Kupuga. I will now open up for questions. Please state the institution you represent, your name, and the person to which you are intending your question to be directed towards. Don't all speak at once. Faith, I see you. Is there anyone else? Are there people online? There are 3 questions. Okay, so please send those to me. Faith, please go ahead.
Okay, my question is for Mary. I just wanted to ask, I mean, MK to ActionSA, there is a big difference, right? Number one, I want to know if it was an amicable separation, because when we last said it wasn't, right? And what was the clincher in terms of you going for coming to ActionSA? And then can I ask another question?
Sure, sure.
The other question is for the Tshwane Mayor. I know that, like, I mean, obviously you were very decisive in terms of your own member, but I mean, you are in a council where there are other people fingered, and I wanted to know what your position is in terms of how you move forward in that way, because the Mpumalanga Commission is not done with its work. So, what are you pushing for in terms of further accountability in Tshwane? That's it. Thank you.
Okay, no, thank you. We will answer those. I have received questions that are online. Dr. Moya, this is also about the Tshwane matter with regards to the MMC. They want to know, and maybe you'll decide whether maybe the national chair can take this one. If you can walk us through the steps that were taken to confirm whether due process was followed. I think National Chair, you should probably take that one. And then, oh, you'll take it. Okay, Dr. Moya will take it. And then the second one, the third one rather, says there's often skepticism around high-profile political moves closer to elections. How should voters interpret your decision to join ActionSA at this stage? And does the party see itself going head-to-head with MK in areas as part of its electoral strategy? This one I'm going to split into 2. I'm going to give it to Mary, and I'm going to give it to the president of ActionSA once Mary is done. Thank you.
Thank you
Oh,
very much.
actually,
Can I respond now?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Look, in politics, the differences are not uncommon, and what matters is that how you respond to them. And I took this path because I wanted to stay true to my principle and focus on what I'm called for. Can I respond to the one with regard to the voters? Is that normally voters don't judge an individual on what they do, but they judge them on the track record. And because of the track record, there are voters that are sitting out there that needs a political home that will be able to bring them a dignity and allow them to be who they are when they go out and meet those communities and be able to have a courage to speak about the political party they belong to. Thank you very much.
Can I deal with the
Other side
simple
of that
one?
question.
Well, I think South Africans must understand and appreciate the fact that our democratic constitution, with its own flaws, but it's got advantages as well, that every 2.5 years they have an opportunity to punish political parties. We've just come out of the 2024 elections. Here we are 7 months later. We're going to be facing local government elections. So if someone says we get people joining us before elections, when must they join? I mean, because we are always in an election cycle. I can tell you the last 3.5 days in this room planning for 2026, but we were already looking at 2029, 2031. So it's a train in motion. And when do people join? We can't stop this constitutional framework of our voting. So unless people say we must only vote after 10 years. So in South Africa right now, constitutionally, every 2.5 years, we go through an election process, and people have got a right to join political parties of their choice. I don't really believe, for some of us who were born under an evil system of apartheid, for people now all of a sudden to want to deprive us of an opportunity to belong to a political party of our choice. So it's a question of us as a political party, as ActionSA, to draw as many people as possible, because the only way we can be able to serve our people, it is through this vehicle. ActionSA, all the time when I go into communities, I tell them why this political party was formed. ActionSA, it's a vehicle to serve society. It's not a vehicle to serve Mashaba's stomach or the Rato's stomach. It's a vehicle like you have a card from now. I mean, from here, I need a vehicle to take me to my house. Otherwise, if I have to walk, it's going to take me a couple of days. Now, to solve the country's problems in a democratic environment, you need a political party. And ActionSA is that party, formed precisely to ensure that we deal with the failures of the last 32 years. We are not going to be the political party, or we're not going to be individuals. When we are faced with a problem, we look for the nearest high tree to hang ourselves. What we are saying is, we live in a democratic dispensation. We will always strive to find solutions to our problems. We are not going to commit suicide. We will make sure that we find solutions to this. And for us, attracting people like Mary and others you will see in the coming days and weeks and months, was what for us, I mean, getting together with Forums for Service Delivery January of 2025 was historic. Historic move. And look at us today. We now have provincial chair for the Western Cape, when the Western Cape people thought ActionSA has dropped them. And we realized, no, we can't. They are our fellow South Africans. This whole nonsense of, what do they call wanting to separate Western Cape from
Cape Independence.
Cape Independence. We said, no, you know what? We've got to stop this nonsense. The Western Cape is part of South Africans and is going to remain part of South Africa. And there's a reason why we wanted to send a message to people of the Western Cape that you're part of us, you are us, and we will ensure that we really protect you from those who want to actually separate you from the rest of South Africa.
Thank you, President. I think maybe, Faith, you may have feeling insufficiently answered, but I think the sentiment or the principle is that a wise man or woman changes their mind. There's no point in keeping something that no longer serves you. And so for Mary's sake, she's here. She's got the right to change her mind, and she has done so. Dr. Moya?
Thank you so much, Somlomo. I think I want to answer the questions in two parts. The first one being about the MMC that was dismissed in the city of Tshwane, and whether we followed the due process. Just as a reminder to the House, in terms of the values of ActionSA, one of those values is ethical leadership. When Senate deliberated sometime in 2024, I think it was August 2024, Mr. President, and we said we are going into the Tshwane coalition. I don't know if you remember the conversation about reminding ourselves that corruption is enemy number one. That's what we have declared as this party. I remember, Mr. President, saying to you, I am opening myself up for a lifestyle audit before I go into the position, during the position, and even after the position. I have further made a personal declaration whenever I have an opportunity, Mr. President, that I, Nasiphi Moya, is not a corrupt South African. I'm not in this position to enrich myself, my friends, or my family, and that when I need money, Mr. President, because the position doesn't pay well, I will leave the position. And that is the value of ActionSA. That is the standard in which we hold all our public representatives. It's not the first time we've dismissed an MMC. We've done it in Tshwane before. We've done it in Ekurhule, and we've dismissed members of ActionSA, leaders of ActionSA, because of corruption. So it wasn't new to us. It was just a continuation of our trend, because that's what our values are. In terms of whether we followed due process, it was on Wednesday, towards the end of the testimonies at the commission, where it was revealed by Sergeant Nkosi that there was a meeting that included ActionSA and EFF members. We went to bed very worried, because we were not expecting the name of ActionSA to come up in the Mpumalanga Commission, because that's not who we are. On Thursday, around 11 o'clock, the name of the former MMC councillor Morodi then came up. I spoke to her within 30 minutes to try and understand what that entails. At the time, we knew two things. One, she has received a gift for her birthday, and she thanked the sergeant for making her birthday special. The second one, it was the tender document that she had shared with this person. And what was concerning is that the tender document was in her portfolio. And the question is, what business does this external person has in the tender documents of her portfolio? I spoke to her just before 1:30 and said, listen, I cannot work with a member of ActionSA that has a stain. If you're a public representative, I need you to go to the people, but how can you talk to those people with a stain on you? It's only fair that I send you home. Please respond to the questions that we're going to put to you, and then we will consider the submissions, and then we will be back to work if we are satisfied by Monday. This was Thursday. Little did I know that on Friday there will be more revelations about the 200 TMPD recruitment process. The one thing I've asked all my colleagues in the city of Tshwane when it comes to the 200 TMPD recruitment process was that after 10 years of the city of Tshwane not recruiting TMPD, can they give me a scandal-free process? And she failed that. That was a personal betrayal. I asked on different platforms, whether it was when we went to address the TMPD and I invited her, she was there. Service Delivery War Room, she was there. Meiko, she was there. I kept repeating, colleagues, these 200, we are looking for kids between 18 and 35. Can you give me a scandal-free process so that the young people of Tshwane can look at us and say, because of this leadership, we once benefited fairly? That was a personal betrayal on my part. But that was not the reason why she was sent home. We gave her an opportunity to respond. Or by Monday morning, she came back and asked for an extension and did share why. We accepted. Eventually, after another extension and conversation, she submitted on Wednesday evening. We considered her submission, but the moment I wrote to her, I also wrote to the commission and asked the commission to give me whatever is available to be shared with me. At the time, it's because I was also drafting the report of the CFO going into the council, and I was saying any information would be helpful in terms of me guiding council the direction that we are taking. We then, Wednesday, while we were preparing, and Thursday, as we were considering the submissions, the commission wrote back to me and gave me further evidence. It was on the basis of what she wrote back to me, plus the evidence from the commission itself, that then we realized that actually her responses did not adequately respond to the questions that were put to her. And now that I know more than what we knew on the previous Friday, it was only fair to the people of Tshwane, the people of South Africa, that we let her go. And subsequently, the PEC of ActionSA has also terminated her membership. The process was fair. Of course, whatever will come out from the Mpumalanga Commission will obviously take it now if she's further implicated. But we want, especially as a coalition partner, you can't take your problems and make them other people's problems. we joined the coalition and said we are the party that says corruption is enemy number one, because we know the cancer that corruption has been in our country. To have one of us having a stain, it's non-negotiable for us. We needed to act as we have done before. In terms of how are we going to approach the Mpumalanga Commission, as I said, we do have now a rapport with the Commission to say, listen, we understand City of Tshwane is part of the terms of reference. We've waited for this. I've prepared my colleagues all sorts of ways in which you can prepare people to say whatever comes out of there, it's contributing to the work that we have started. Because when we said that we inherited a broken city, and I said, you know, this city was on its knees. People said you are politicking. But if I can give you the statistics and the characteristics of what we have been dealing with, and we said we don't want to shout everything because we're going to make the public to panic, as if we don't know what we need to do, which we are working on. Now, we then wrote to the Commission and said we're going to implement the recommendations of the Commission, but there's information that comes up that we can't ignore because we are waiting for the recommendations. We have dealt now with the MMC. We have dealt with the CFO. We went to council last Thursday night and asked council that we investigate the CFO because we believe there's a reasonable cause that he has committed an act of misconduct. But we also said we don't want him in office. In fact, he had not been in office since the revelations come out, because even though there was no resolution of council, we could not afford to have him in the office. So we sent him home and say, even if you put him on leave, it's fine, but he must not be in the office. By Thursday, council agreed that we'll investigate him, but also put him on precautionary suspension. He's gone 7 days to write back to us. And then council will consider that, and then we take the process forward. The other senior official that has been mentioned is the Deputy Commissioner of TMPD, Umashi Dlamini. He asked to go on special leave. I've left the accounting officer and the Chief of Police to work in terms of why he's at home. It can't be that you do wrong things and then say, oh, by the way, can you excuse me? So they are working on that. But they were not the only ones that were mentioned. There are even junior officials in HR, there are junior officials in supply chain management, and the approach that we are taking is that there are no holy cows in the City of Tshwane. If you have done something wrong, there must be consequences. So depending on the information that we have at this stage, so some of it is going to be dealt with like we've done with this, and the others will deal with them through the recommendations, but we are looking to that. City of Tshwane is still continuing with the testimonies. You would have heard Deputy Commissioner Spies testifying. When the commissioner resumes on the 7th of April, the Chief of Police and one of the Deputy Commissioners, Paul Hayes, will also be testifying. We do expect that a lot is going to come out of there, but I want to make this point as I finish. The work that, or the revelations at Mpumalanga, they just reinforce what we knew about the City of Tshwane. That a city cannot just have an unfunded for 4 years, or a city has assets under constructions to the tune of 13 billion rands. And for those who don't know what assets under constructions are, basically these are projects that were started, the municipality paid millions for, and then they were abandoned. They are in communities, they were never completed. And the UIFWs, when we started, we inherited a balance of 13 billion rand in UIFWs, together with over 1,000 forensic investigations that have never been implemented. Now, when we say that city had collapsed, we are reviving a city that was on its knees. People say we are politicking. Now, there's a lot of work that has been happening just before the Mpumalanga testimonies, or at least before a week ago. We have put 27 officials on suspension because they manipulated accounts at Group Financial Services Department. And so these are the people that are at home. When we started, we have put people at home who were arrested on national TV. They stole transformers, our own officials. They facilitated stealing or theft of transformers. They were arrested. And we trapped one official who was selling fake lease contracts. When you look at the asset register, these people are going around and say for 30,000 rand, you can occupy the property of the municipality and pay us directly. Now, I'm saying the work that we are doing, including the 146 investigations that we conducted in the 2024-2025 financial year alone, tells you that what comes out of the Madlanga Commission is only a fraction of what we are dealing with. Hence, we appreciate that work because it reinforces what we were doing, and people were saying, no, but you guys are just chasing these officials because you want to replace them with your own. Now it reinforces what we've been saying, that this city is rotten to the core and needs to be rescued and be fixed for the people of Tshwane, because if we don't do it, we do not only lose the capital city of the Republic of South Africa, but we lose a city that contributes 9% of the GDP of this economy. So it's quite important to us. But I think what is important as we go forward with the Madlanga Commission, we truly welcome the work that is happening. Our officials will cooperate to an extent in which is required, and when the recommendations come out, they will find us having implemented 50% of them even before the arrival of the recommendations themselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doc. We have reached, I think, the end, unless anyone has a question, but we've reached the end. All of the people that are at this table, if you have any, appetite to talk to them some more, they are available. You can, call on them through our office, our media office and communications office. We'll make sure that we arrange those more in-depth discussions with either of our leaders who are up front. I want to end this conference by saying this. It is indeed true, the advice, it rings true. Despise not the day of small beginnings. Look at us now. The green umbrella is expanding. We are literally siyakhuphuka. Thank you very much. Thank you, President. Thank you, National Chairperson. Thank you, newly minted Provincial Chairperson of the Western Cape. We're looking forward to your work. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Mary. We're looking forward to a moving bus and trucks. Thank you so much for the work that you are going to do. We bless that in advance. Thank you, Dr. Moya. Proceed. We are proceeding in that vein. No surrender. Do not surrender. Continue to Tima. Deputy President, thank you so much. And I want to also thank the broader leadership, the provincial chairs and the Senate of ActionSA. Thank you so much for being here and for the support and the work and the dedication that you put into making our organization what it has become. We're really proud of the work that we all have done collectively. Ondaba ezitha bayete siyabonga realeboga pula.
Oh, well, so the news are out.
Thank you very much, President.
We are already at the PC group.
Wow, thank you very much.
Yeah, just teaching now.
Thank you very much, Vanessa.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Can we have a picture with ActionSA, please?
I'd like to take the first picture. I need a picture with the chair of the Western Cape, where I spent most of my time.
Sis Mary, you can stop me now.
Our parliamentary.
Before you take the email.